Welcome to Fun with Annuities, where every single week I welcome a celebrity guest expert that can help you maximize Chapter 2 of your life. Listen, learn, laugh, and love every minute of the most unique financial podcast on the planet. Let's get to it. Welcome to Fun with Annuities. I'm your host, Stan, the Annuity Man, America's Annuity Agent, licensed in all 50 states. Try to say that fast 3 times. You cannot do it because I practice all day long in front of a mirror. Today's guest, I didn't want him back on. I'll be honest with you. He is arrogant. He's a know-it-all. He's the indexed annuity guru, but I had to bring him on again because, A, people love him for some reason, but it's because he's factual. But the other reason is, it's officially not Christmas season. It's indexed annuity silly season because I'm getting crazy calls about, well, this guy's going to get 18% return and no downside and blah, blah, blah. Now, we've been through all this before, but let me welcome my illustrious, great word, right? Guest, Mr. FIA-X. Hey, X, how are you?
What's up? How are you, Stan? Good to see you.
You know, I'm living the dream, X. You know that. You know, I am looking forward to this because I called you in a fit of rage, as sometimes I do, and you're driving down the road in whatever nice sports car you're driving. And I'm like, X, you've got to come on and talk about these indices and how these returns are such garbage. I just did another video and I was mentioning index annuity returns, and of course all of the sociopath agents came out of the woodwork. And I'm like, okay, I got to get X on. So,
well, you're gonna ruin their story. If you tell the truth, you ruin the story.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And disclaimer before we get started, and you know, X and I are going to jump off the cliff looking for the FIA parachute, but we will find it. But what the disclaimer I want to come to everybody with is, we love index annuities. We both of us, and Mr. X has made his living on index annuities. He's in the big house because of index annuities. But the point is, we like them for what they do and how they are designed and the truth about them, not the sales pitch. We both were around in 1995 when they were first introduced. We both remember those times. I always say it's Keystone Life. That's a beer. It's actually Keyport Life, who was the first index annuity issuer. But the point is, disclaimer, and proudly say, we like indexed annuities. We primarily at theannuityman.com use them as a very efficient and cost-effective delivery system for the income rider. But we like some of the accumulation story as well. But I want people to say, well, you had all indexed annuities. No. In fact, I would go on record that between the two of us, not many people on the planet have actually been the facilitator of more sales of index annuities than me and you.
That's a fair, personally, it's a fair statement.
So let's talk about what's going on in the accumulation story, the market upside with no downside. X, hit me, go.
Oh, it's getting wild. Remember, I think our last call, we talked about the Wild West and how it was going to keep getting crazier and crazier as the interest rate kept going up. It was going to kind of like, we called it the arms race, didn't we?
Yeah. I think and you warned people, it's getting ready to get crazy. So tell me what's happening.
It's getting crazy. You know what? Everything I said that was going to happen has happened.
Agreed.
Remember, we talked about the bonuses and how they're going to come out with all these huge bonuses and these fire sales. And then we talked about all these participation rates. And we said how all this stuff was going to get crazy. And it's going to be like, oh, I get 40%, 50%, 60%. Oh, I'm getting, remember we talked about all that? And it all came true. So here's the next one. And I'll call my shot because they're easy to call because they're predictable.
Do it, X.
You're going to start seeing, obviously, because we have this rising interest rate environment, it's bad for our credit cards, it's bad for our mortgages, it's bad for our car payments, but it's great for the annuities because they're all predicated around that interest rate, right? So as the interest rates go up, we're going to have an opportunity to get more participation rates, higher caps, lower fees or spreads or whatever is involved in the indexed annuity that you buy. Here's the hard part, Stan. You're going to start seeing 200%, 300%, 400% participation rates, 500% participation rates?
2 to 3 to 400 to 500%, because people are already looking for their pins to sign the application. Please walk them off the cliff, please.
And I don't have a problem with that. I don't. Here's where the problem lies. I'm going to get 2, 3, 4, 500% of what? I want someone to explain the index that I'm getting offered this 2, 3, 4, 500% participation rate. And I know what the clients are saying is, well, how do I get more than 100? Right?
Good question.
Well, it's actually pretty easy because the bond rates have gotten so high and the option rates are reducing. But more importantly, is they're buying options and indices that never existed because they created them. So there is virtually, the cost is so low that they can get these real high participation rates. But let's say I got a 300% participation rate, but the annuity averaged 2.5%. Well, that's 7.5 minus each year of whatever spread, fee, charge, however it works. Right. Okay. Well, the illustration shows me like 47%, but the reality is I made 7.
Right.
Minus the charges. So here it is. Get your pens out and write this down, because here's probably 3 or 4 maybe of the most important things you're going to learn right here. These are the questions that you need to ask. Okay.
I've got a big Sharpie. I got a big Sharpie. I'm going to write it permanently on my thigh. So go.
Perfect. Number one thing I want to ask is when I ask what the participation rate is, I want to know what the participation rate is. Okay. And I want to know when it can change. I think that's important.
Correct.
Okay. Because it's going to change based off economic conditions. I can tell you right now, the product that had 300% participation rate right now did not have it 8 to 12 months ago. Fair?
That's fair. So what you're saying, X, is that the annuity carrier can change the rules?
Well, yeah, they have to have a way to protect themselves.
Okay.
And that's okay. But I just want to understand the rules. Right?
That's number one. I like that. Any more detail on number one, Mr. X?
Well, yeah, there's some products out there that will guarantee the rate for 10 years. Like if your participation rate's 200%, you get it for the life of the contract. I think that's great. But my next question would be, I'm getting 200% or 300% of what? I'm going to tell you right now, and I will put a bet on the table, the majority of agents that sell the products they sell cannot thoroughly and competently explain the index or what's in it.
And the math behind it.
Well, definitely the math behind it, because there is no numbers and it's all letters, the way they calculate the math on this stuff, right? So my point is this, though. So I get 200% of the XYZ LMNOP Rockstar superhero named index, whatever it is, right?
Right.
So my third question is, and this is the fun one, and this is where you're going to catch the agent lying, potentially, or you'll catch the agent dancing around. That's a better word. You're going to catch him dancing around.
Okay.
I would say to you, Stan, the agent, how long has this index been around?
In existence.
In existence. When did it actually go live? When did it actually?
When can we actually track it? Not back test it, track it.
Well, you brought up a big word there, so I want to get there. Okay.
What, it?
No,
back test. Got it.
So I want to know when the index actually went live. And here's why I asked that. Because typically the day they've gone live, which way do they go, Stan? Do they go north or south?
Typically south.
South. Everything prior to the go live date is BS.
It's garbage. In French, we use French here, X. It's garbage.
Garbage? Okay, garbage. We can use a Latin if you like. It's basura. I got a billion names. Anything prior to that date is garbage. And here's why. The next thing you're going to get is an illustration. Oh, my favorite.
If you'd owned it, let me do my Chester. Oh, Chester, if you'd owned this 10 years ago, you'd have made this, son.
We would have averaged 13.95% for the last 10 years if this existed. Well, I'm going to tell you what. No, you wouldn't have. No, those illustrations are the only thing real about the illustration is the paper and the ink. After that, It is not. I can promise you, your annuity will not function like that illustration. It just won't. It won't.
But it looks so good, Mr.
Well,
X.
it does look good. And what they do, Stan, is they do this damn illustration war to where the person that can illustrate the best illustration
Yes.
wins. It has no realization of what's actually going to happen. Like, you know, the old saying, past performance is not indicative of current results. They didn't even have a past performance. It's a made up performance. It is an index that is built, and it's, if you read the disclosures, there's some real interesting verbiage in their disclosures.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm paraphrasing, okay? One of the companies said, like, we know that it's to our advantage to make this look good in our backtested.
Right.
Because if you didn't, you wouldn't sell anything. So last and foremost is, without last and foremost, I got a list. I can keep going.
No, hold for a second, because for all the podcast listeners, I want to know, he sounds a little muffled. Maybe that's just him, but he's wearing a mask. And I always say that Mr. FIA-X is wearing a mask because if you think the people that run the voting machines in specific states are targeted by people that are angry, Mr. FIA-X is FIA-X. He is targeted because indexed annuity groupies, cultists, do not like what he has to say. I get emails, I get hate emails every time he's on. Who is that guy? He doesn't know what he's talking about. No. He does know what he's talking about. And that is the issue here. And people need to know. Go to a couple of more, and then I got a $100,000 question for you.
Well, I'd be happy to go toe to toe with any of those agents because I can explain it very easily and simply. It's facts. If you look at when the indexes go, the indexes, whatever you want to call it, when they go live, they haven't returned. Now I'm going to be fair. Okay, I'll be fair here. Nothing's worked very well the last 12 to 18 months.
Correct.
We've had some tough sledding. Okay, I'm not getting political, but inflation's up, economy's bad, gas is high, the market's down, things haven't worked great.
And that Bitcoin annuity, I think, is on the shelf. What do you think?
Just for a little bit. We're postponing it for a little bit. But here's the beautiful part. The S&P 500 index, Stan, which you're familiar with, I bet a lot of your listeners are familiar with. They're savvy people because savvy people listen to you. I know that.
Well, I've got an S&P 500 tattoo, as you know, right across my heart.
And the S&P is considered the benchmark of investing.
Yes,
right? Top 500
correct.
companies, super diversified, top 500 companies, all that great stuff.
Yep.
Okay. I've got a 65-year history in the S&P 500, right? So after this recession or lull or whatever you want to call it, we have data that will kind of show us, okay, how things should react, right? Not saying it will, but we have history working in our favor of real, actual historical things. So my question is, for these indices that have been created that have been out 1 or 2 years, they haven't experienced any of this, have they?
No.
So how are they going to react? I don't know.
Nobody knows, period. And a lot of these indices that are made up out of thin air, if you read the disclosures, they can change the internal makeup of those indices at any time, whereas an S&P is locked in. Let me ask you this, Mr. X. Your favorite indexed annuity option revolves around the S&P. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. And I can tell you why.
Why?
It's the benchmark of investing. I have a track record on it, so I can do it, even though I know that its past performance won't be current, indicative of current results. Right. But I do have history. I have longevity, and the S&P 500 is 500 companies. So this is my favorite line. This is part of the sales pitch. You ready?
Go.
I put you in the XYZ superhero index because it's diversified.
Yes.
Okay, great. Explain to me that diversification, Mr. Agent, because I'll bet you they can.
No.
Second part is, what more diversification do you need than the top 500 companies in the world? basically.
And what explain to the listeners and viewers, because this is on all major podcast platforms and the Fun with Annuities YouTube channel, and growing by leaps and bounds, Mr. X, because of people like you. Thank you very much.
I'd like to take credit for that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're a big reason, because people want to hear it, because they're getting they're eating a lot of bad chicken dinner and good steak dinners at this point in time. Yeah, but why are carriers choosing to make up indexes out of midair instead of choosing the stodgy old simple S&P?
Because it's cheaper. It's more cost effective for them to create the index than it is to buy the option in the S&P. To buy an option in an index that never existed, it's way cheaper to buy those options or those futures and those products.
So annuity companies have the big buildings for a reason. This adds to it, correct?
It does, and I'm not saying they're bad.
No.
But I'm also not saying they're good. And here's why. Because I don't think looking back for 2 years of real return gives me a picture big enough to say, hey, I should put my life savings in it. Now, I know what the agents on the other end that will hear this. Well, they're downside zero and they can't lose any money. Yeah, but I can go get a fixed annuity paying me 5 to 6%.
Yes. They're called MIGAs. I mean, yeah, that zero is your hero is crapola. That's Italian.
Well, it could be. Look at. I didn't know you spoke so many languages.
Yeah, I'm fluent.
You're fluent in crapola?
I'm fluent. I'm fluent, man. I am fluent, baby. I speak Southern, locker room, and annuity.
And once again, I don't have the problem. You and I might disagree a little on. I don't have the problem with the zero is your hero part.
I hate that.
But I know you do. But what I do have a problem with is when people lay an illustration down in front of me, and it says, "Look at back last 10 years, Stan, I returned 17%," and I go, "That's awesome." When the index come out 2 years ago, well, how in the heck do you get a 17% return for 10 years when you've existed 2? Well, because the other 8 are made up.
I do think sometimes that I just keep in a looped bad dream, Mr. X. You're part of it, obviously. And the reason is this could all be solved, couldn't it? Couldn't it? That's a Southern, but couldn't it? If the annuity industry really wanted to solve it?
I think so. I think in my world, perfect world, I think
you do live in a perfect world. There's no doubt. So go ahead.
I think you should only be able to illustrate your index for as long as it's been alive. So, no backcasting, no BS, no made up numbers, no fictitious stuff.
And I believe also too, if a person that is famous is endorsing the index that's attached to the index annuity, that person's compensation should be revealed.
Oh, absolutely. Why? Or do you own a piece of it? Do you get a piece of every sale? I don't know. I don't know what these guys do, and they hawk their books or they hawk their stuff behind it. I mean,
because I'll guarantee you, I get approached all the time about, well, could you stand the annuity, man, index annuity? There will come a time that someone, and I run it by UX, and you say, yeah, that's actually simplistic enough for you to sign off on. I'll tell people how much I'm getting paid. But I'm getting tired of, well, this guru is behind this one. I'm like, that guru's getting paid on an index annuity. Come on.
They don't do it for their health. Let's just call it that.
Well,
okay?
It's like an upfront bonus. Upfront bonuses are candy for the stupid.
Well,
I had a call the other day about, well, I lost all this money in the market, but I made it back with an upfront bonus. I said, you're the dumbest person I know. And I know a lot of dumb people. And
I will tell you, here, I'm going to tell you a true story. This happened to me 3 weeks ago. I was at dinner and I got a phone call. I was at dinner with some friends. I stepped out and the agent had a client on the phone and we were talking. And he said he went to a seminar. He had $1 million. And this guy told him that he would get a 40% bonus immediately. He goes, that's $40,000. I go, you need one more zero.
Yeah, exactly.
$400,000. And he goes, what? I go, they're going to give you $400,000. He goes, well, how could they afford to do that? I go, thank you. Because they're not giving you the money.
Right.
Because here's what I would do. If you give me a 40% bonus, and let's say my penalty was 10 or 12%, right. I'll take the money, I'll quit. I'm 28 ahead of the game, and I leave.
Right.
It doesn't work that way, folks. They're
Nope.
not giving you the bonus. It's fictitious. And here's the other part that they don't tell you. Typically, and we can look at this very easily, your fees, your caps, your participation rates are either reduced or elevated for the bonus. Why? Because they have to recover it over time. The insurance companies play the long game. Your lifetime is the game they play. So when you see a bonus, Stan puts it best, it is candy for the stupid. You are financing the money and you are going to make less to get that. Here's the best deal for you. If you do get a big bonus like that, you better die the next day, because that's the only way that you're going to see that bonus. That's the only way. Problem is
And X, as I've told everybody about death, and I can weigh in on this. Death is not a good strategy, X, because you can only use it one time.
One time. The other part is this: some of the bonuses apply only to an income account.
Correct.
Some bonuses will apply to the cash.
Correct.
Some bonuses have a vesting schedule. What's that mean? I have to stick around for 10 years to get the bonus.
And you're paying for it along the way.
If they screw you for all 10 years, did you really get a bonus? You got screwed, is what you got.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It doesn't make them bad. It just makes you need to understand what you're getting into.
I think we need to take a short disclaimer break and say, once again, we're proponents of index annuities.
Yeah.
We like index annuities. We're trying to influence the industry to make them better, more transparent, more simple, more easy to understand, less complex. No formulas using math formulas using letters, only numbers. But we don't like the environment that's being created by people that are just selling index annuities and index annuities only. I always tell agents that call me and want to be me, Mr. X. Of course they do, and you can only imagine why. It's the hype. Let's give you the answer. But I tell them, if your business model is more than 50% of annuities sold are index annuities, and if you're 75 or 80% all index annuities, you're eventually going to lose your license or get sued, or maybe you can luck out of it, but you're not going to have a good life, because you're going to have to explain why all of these returns never happened, right?
Well, I don't disagree with some of that. Here's the challenge that I have and that I see coming down the pipe. Be ready. You ready? I'm going to call another shot.
Shot called.
You are going to see class action lawsuits filed based off of these made up fictitious indices.
Oh,
You're going to see class action lawsuits filed based off the illustrations that are presented to the client. And you're going to see those happen, I say, in under 12 months. I'm going to get specific on this one. I say way under 12 months. Class
action lawsuits on index. So I'm going to see an ambulance chaser, my favorite ambulance chasers. I can name their names. But anyway, instead of have you been in a car wreck? Have you been injured? Have you been sold an indexed annuity? Are you serious?
I totally think so. And once again, it doesn't make the product bad. I want to understand that. And for you agents listening, it's not this might sound politically incorrect, but I don't mean it to be. It's not the arrow, it's the Indian, right? The arrow shoots straight. The product is what the product is. It's the person aiming it. It's like here's a better one probably. If I go by those guaranteed to hit them straight golf clubs,
yes,
until I get a hold of them, then they don't go so straight. The product is static. It doesn't change. It is what it is, right? It's contractual. It has the guarantees. It has all that stuff in it. It's the person that's explaining what the product is. That's the challenge.
And I've always said to people, if the pitch you hear sounds too good to be true, write it all down in detail, sign and date it, flip the page around and have the agent sign and date it.
He'll never put his name on that.
They'll never sign it. And if they do, you got them. But the point is, we keep going back to the same thing, X, with I know with our listeners, you have shined the light on some new things. But again, if it sounds too good to be true, it is every single time. What I get upset about is a lot of these people are targeting, groups of people that are retiring from a certain sector, and they're not sophisticated, and they're putting them all in the same index annuity, every single one of them. I run into that all the time. if you're industry czar on the index annuities, how would you solve this? Or better question, and I know that you're always thinking about how to develop the right index annuity because you want me to sell that. What would that index annuity look like, X?
I personally think, here's where my opinion, which means everything, but my opinion.
It's all that matters. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all that matters.
They keep making index annuities that need to be sold when they need to make index annuities that should be bought.
Okay, now tell me what that looks like on my site.
I think it's very, very something that, first of all, that you, especially you,
Yes,
can calculate the return.
I know.
A plus B minus C equals return, or whatever that formula may look like. But I should be able to, in 2 to 3 steps, calculate my return. My second piece of it is, and I know what the agents will say, well, I can do that. My index does this and I minus that, and that's what I get. A, B, C. Right. Now explain what's in the index and how it works. Bingo. And I got you. And I'll give you another great story. I had a gentleman talk to an agent that I know, and he was telling him that, oh, this is no good. It has this in it. It has that in it. And I went to the agent and I told him, I said, every one of these indexed annuities has this and that in it. And I would get their, basically, I don't want to say a prospectus because it's not, but I would get their information sheet on the index annuity and say, look, it holds the same stuff that he's saying this annuity is bad for, but his annuity is good for. I go, so who the people talk to is very, very important. And that's honestly, Stan, that's why you've had the success that you have. You shoot straight. Here it is.
Yep.
We can have an uncomfortable conversation, but it'll be the truth. And then you make the best decision for you and your family.
But let's go back to
Simple.
Stan. This is a dream scenario. It's kind of like me thinking I have 6-pack abs, but let's go there. There's an indexed annuity on the Stan the Annuity Man site, theannuityman.com. There's an indexed annuity that Stan the Annuity Man is saying, this is it. What's it look like internally?
I just think, personally, I like the S&P because it's the benchmark of investing. Look, if your indexed annuity doesn't make any money and you're invested in the S&P 500, it's pretty easy to explain why it didn't make any money. Our economy is not doing great.
Correct.
Okay, I have a hard time when the S&P does okay and then my indexed annuity didn't do well. Well, explain it to me. Well, they can't. So I think it should be the S&P. I think it needs to be something with a participation rate without cap. I don't play I don't want to play a product that limits my earnings.
So explain a cap is very easy to understand. You know, if the cap is 5 and the market gets 7, you get 5.
Yeah, that's it. No.
Okay.
And if the market goes minus 10, you get 0.
Explain to the 9-year-old. I'm playing that role right now. Very well, by the way. Explain to the 9-year-old participation rate, X.
A participation rate is how much of the index you're going to participate in. So let's say you had a 70% participation rate. If the S&P did 10, which by the way, 30-year historical average of the S&P is 9.89%. So we'll just call it 10, right?
And I get 70% of that, X, right?
Correct. So you get 7. Done. That's easy.
But the problem is now you have some that have participation rates with a cap, which means you get the participation rate, but it's capped.
Why would you ever want, the more modifiers you put on it, the worse it gets.
Correct.
It's like, why would you want 2 governors on your car? I don't want 2 governors on the car.
I don't want 2 governors in my state either, by the way.
Yeah. There you go.
So this design, is it a 1-year option? Is it a 2-year option? Is it a 3-year option? Because we all know that the longer the index option, the better the returns, but the public doesn't have the appetite and or patience for that, correct?
I think there's a little of both. I think you could go 1, 2, 3. Pick which one you want. 1, 2, or 3. Some people want to know every year, lock it in, call it a day. I got it. But if I go to 2 years, my participation rate would be a little higher. If I go 3 years, my participation would be even a little bit higher. So are you willing to trade some of the ride for more of the upside with a downside of 0? You're guaranteed.
Listen to how simple this is. Stan the Annuity Man Indexed Annuity. It's on the S&P 500. We're only choosing participation rates. Hopefully that participation rate is high.
Yeah.
And you can choose either a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, meaning you can lock it in those point in times. Am I missing something, X?
No, that's it. It's that simple. Because here's why. You want to build this for accumulation. Great. What better way to accumulate? Warren Buffett has challenged every guru on Wall Street to a 10-year challenge. He puts $1 million in the S&P. They put $1 million in their hedge fund and manage it. Guess who wins at the end of 10 years?
The S&P.
Warren Buffett wins. They don't even want to play with them anymore.
That's the reason when people call me and say, you know, they got the young kids, should they buy an annuity? No, just put them in an S&P fund and never look at it.
And never look at it and keep contributing. And when it goes down, contribute more. Right? I'm not giving investment advice, but that's what they say, right? Aren't you supposed to
no bonus, no fees, period.
Yeah.
Now, S&P 500 are the index options that the carriers buy. I know this answer, but I'm asking it for the consumer. Are they higher and more expensive than made up super duper index out of midair?
100%. That's why you're seeing the made up super duper in the air ones, because they can hit better profit margin with it.
So the 200% participation rate super duper probably isn't as good as the 70% participation rate on the S&P.
Well, I would agree with that, because that's a tough one to answer. And here's why I say it. I have no history of their super duper to give you an answer. But if I would take it, even with their backcasting, even with their made up stuff,
yep,
the S&P still would.
Is there a reason that it's not, people aren't doing that, carriers aren't doing that? I know there's a few, and we can't mention names, that have some simple ones out there, but I would say, wouldn't you say easily 90% of them are convoluted and complex and made up out of midair? A lot of them, don't you think?
100%. Yes, I agree with you. 100%. I agree with you. I just think every day I see this new stuff coming out. I have one index that was great. It came out this year, and they show these crazy returns, and the guys are like, "Oh, it averaged X," and I'm like, "How? It just came out in March. I mean, how do you come up with it?" I go, "You're okay with this? Like, you're okay sitting with a client? Oh yeah, it's gonna, I'm like, all right, and I could be totally wrong. I could be 100% wrong, Stan. This thing could just rip and just kill it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's fine. That's fine. But and what I would I mean, if you are expecting real market type rates of return annually, and you're considering an index annuity, please don't. Please don't.
You're going to get a better than average chance at a better than average return. That's what
bingo.
It was built
but
for.
Some of those 10, let's just say in a 10-year scenario, 2 or 3 of those years are going to be zero. It's the way markets work, right?
Without question.
And so those zeros are going to even out and even out the flow of returns, and also the fact that the companies can change the rules at their discretion. I always tell people, if you're buying a 1-year call option with a 10-year sales surrender charge, you're buying a 1-year guarantee with a 10-year sales surrender charge. You don't know what the other 9 years of guarantees are going to be.
Well, that's the other part too, why I do appreciate for 2 reasons. I like the longer strategy for 2 reasons. One is it returns more money over time. Historically, It's shown to be a better return for the client.
Yes,
Number 2 is they can only mess with you. If you have a 2-year reset, they can only mess with you 4 times. If you have a 10-year reset on a 1 year, they can mess with you 9 times.
And they meaning the annuity company.
Meaning the company. And, and there's some good companies out there, and I think there's some less than reputable when it comes to renewal rate.
Agreed.
I think some companies are much more to their clients than others.
Do you think your predicted class action will throttle back some of this nonsense?
Nah, it'll get buried. Not one bit.
Well, I remember I did a video recently on an article that was written. I'm not going to throw his name out because he's gotten enough heat already, but it was in a online retirement journal that talked about the real returns of index annuities, and he had to pull it down. He had to pull that article down because, first of all, it was factual, but second of all, it tore the scab off of and revealed the onion of the whole thing. But the index annuity people got so mad that he just pulled it down. He told me, he just pulled it down. And that is sad when, you know, I call that fake annuity news. If we can't have real conversations about these products and they all have to be pie in the sky proposals and you know, unicorns chasing the butterflies, then all of this is fake annuity news. Annuities need, like you said, they need to be purchased, not sold.
I totally agree. And here's the best part. You go take that illustration that agent gives you and you email it to us.
Oh.
And we'll show you the lie.
I don't even go there. You know, when people start saying, well, he said it was going to do this, I'm like, stop, just please stop.
You mean the guy that's going to make a sale and make a whole bunch of money told you?
Oh my God, please
something?
stop.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, well, you know, most people that call me after an index annuity pitch has been made to them, they're calling me for a reason because their gut says, what the heck is going on?
Your gut's your guardian angel telling you something is what that is.
What's going on new other than, I mean, let's talk good. What's good and new happening in the index annuity world, if anything?
Well, I think the best thing, and this is good, it's this bittersweet news, is the interest rate increases are the best thing to hit the annuity industry in 15 years.
Correct.
Because as those interest rates go up, the products get much more attractive because you get more opportunity. But once again, I go back to more opportunity of what? So you got to be careful, you know, not to step in it. And the other thing, you brought up a good point. I want to go backwards a little bit because I thought you brought up something really interesting.
Of course I did.
Go ahead. Sales pitch of the guys with the bonus and, well, I've lost money in the market. Well, I'm going to give you the bonus to make up your loss in the market. Move it over here. Ugh.
That's honestly.
Oh, I hear that quite a bit.
It's criminal. Person should lose their license immediately, in my opinion, if that's the sales pitch made. Because back in the day, before the markets went down, they would say, well, move it here, take the surrender charge, and the bonus will make up for that. That's criminal. But now they're saying, take the money in the markets that you've lost and move it over here and make it all back with the bonus. That's criminal as well, in my opinion. But that's what's going on. It's going to continue to go on as crypto unwinds and whatever else unwinds within the economy. And people don't want to lose any more money. But bonuses, there's not a philanthropist at an annuity company that wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I want to give away money today. Doesn't work like that. They have the big buildings for the reason, the big logos on the planes for a reason.
Well,
do not give it away.
Just do common math. Let's do some simple math. Everybody get a pen out real quick. Here we go. Let's say you had $100,000, right? Say this company gives you a 25% bonus. Well, whatever. I'm not picking on anybody. I don't even know. I don't even do bonuses. So I can't even.
Yeah, who cares? Whatever.
It doesn't even register with me, right? So basically, they're going to give you 25 grand. So you gave them 100.
Yes.
They took an extra 25. So really, they only have 75,000 to invest, right?
Makes sense math-wise.
Okay, but they got to pay commissions and they got to pay salaries and they've got to pay everything else. So take out 7 or 8% for that. So let's just call it 35% for easy math. You gave them 100, but they paid out 35% gross. That means I only have 65,000 to deal with. Right?
Makes sense to me.
Well, if the insurance companies get, say, 6-7% on their portfolio, because they invest in bonds, right? Sam,
Sure.
And they take a little scrape off the bonds and they pass the rest through to the clients, right?
Sure.
Well, do the math, everybody. If I'm making, say, 7% on my portfolio at 65,000, we'll call it $5 grand a year for easy math. It's going to take them some time to recoup all that stuff they gave out, isn't it? That doesn't make sense to me.
But people don't look at that, and we can just look at the recent Bitcoin situation with the chunky kid from the Bahamas that never took a bath. No one really looked into the fact that he didn't have a board of directors or CPA. No one really looked under the hood for that one.
Or that the books didn't matter, or that the stuff didn't make any sense, or that he was such a large donor to everybody and just handing out money left and right and signing things everywhere, just slinging money every which way but loose. And taking money back and forth and sending coins back and forth. And
everybody listening to this podcast or watching it on the YouTube channel are smart enough to slow down and do the due diligence needed to ask questions and fully understand it. And as I always say, if you can't explain it to a nine-year-old, don't buy it. No offense to 9-year-olds. I think the index annuity I'm waiting on is going to be called the 9-year-old index annuity. And there will come a time that someone's going to create that I sign off on, and I'll say, okay, this is it. This is the one, but I haven't seen it yet.
No, and like I said before, I don't know why they keep making this stuff so complex when they can make it so simple and make everybody happy. They're trying to make it like a Swiss Army knife. It slices it. It's like one of those commercials. It slices, it dices, it chops, no. It's a place where you put your money that you can't lose, where it grows safely, and that you can structure income for the rest of your life, and the income will last longer than you will. That's it.
No, agree with that. And I'm just hoping that we get to that point. I think the more and more education that comes out like this, I mean, these videos and podcasts go viral, and we get the hate mail, and that's fine. But a lot of people say, I watched that podcast or listen to that podcast, and I free look that policy, or I cancel the applications, and thousands, by the way. And that's great, because right now at the time of this taping, it's a good argument that fixed rate annuities, MYGAs, outperform index annuities at this point, and there's nothing to track. I'm not saying you should buy MYGAs over index annuities. I'm just saying you should at least think about it, because one's contractual and the other one, the contractual is you're not going to lose money. One's contractual yield, one of them's, well, we don't know what it's going to be, but we know it's going to be zero. If at worst case scenario,
it'll be 0 or above. The other one is I know exactly what it will be, but it
doesn't make it better. Doesn't make it better. It's just that in the world that I like to live in, I like to know what the returns are going to be. Give us your, let's.
I want to go back. I have a question for you. I'm going to be the consumer.
6'6", 215, shot 92% from the free throw line for the University of Central Florida, and that record still stands. What other questions do you have, X?
This is my fun question. The hate mail you get, does it come from the consumer or from the annuity professional financial advisor?
99% is the annuity professional. I do get occasional hate mail from someone who purchased so many index annuities, they're trying to defend their choice. And I understand.
Then you're doing the right thing.
I understand that. I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, you own it. So it is what it is. But you've been spot on, annuity Nostradamus. Can you give us the future, X, like you typically, because you've nailed it the last 3 or 4 times you've been on future.
I'll give it to you. I'll tell you.
Give me 2023. What's 2023? You've already said be on the lookout for a possibility keyword, of some litigation, class action coming down the pike. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's something you threw out.
Well, I think that you're going to see interest rates increase, I think, a little bit more.
Okay.
So you're going to see some more Wild West annuity stuff without question.
Yes.
You'll start seeing some new products. You're going to start seeing, this will make you happy. The one I got yesterday, guy sent me over a thing. He goes, "Is this any good?" And it was a RILA annuity.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I said, "What's the number one reason why you sell annuities to your clients?" He goes, "Well, I don't want them to lose money." Well, on this one, you get to pick how much they want to lose. Which would you prefer?
Right.
He goes, "Well, I don't want them to lose anything." I go, "Well, then why are you even looking at this?" Because
registered index linked annuity.
You get to pick how much risk the client's going to take, the copay concept, and how much is the client going to take of bear risk, 10%, 12%, 15%, whatever it is, or you can go down. But the lower you go down, the lower my cap went. So if I want,
it's a buffer. Risk, it's a buffer annuity.
Yeah, I'm like, I go, why would you ever do that? I mean, that's just silly.
I named it a copay annuity, and you said a long time ago, why wouldn't you just buy an index annuity? Why would you share in the downside when you don't have to?
When you don't have to, or if you're okay with the downside, just go buy whatever stocks you want and put a stop loss in. Right? And then, be the same, and then just go rebuy it back again. I don't get the stuff, but So that's what I see. I see some more of the same that we've talked about. I really do. I think you're going to see some crazier income stuff, crazier bonus stuff, crazier participation rates. And, I like the fact that the interest rates these are probably where the interest rates, you're a bond expert, Stan. You did bonds for a really long time. I mean, this is probably where interest rates should have been a long time ago.
Agreed. No, I agree. They should have just done it. They should have just done it in 25 basis point hiccups every quarter and not disrupt. Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been so drastic. It would have been
when they voted on the Fed chairman, I think I lost. It was close, but I lost. I was up for it, but I lost. Yeah.
But my point being is that I think that that's a good thing, and to some degree, I think there's some other things that we have to get under control, as an economy. But the high interest rates are good for these products.
Is annuity bonus silly season going to start again in January?
Yeah, because here's why. I'll tell you why. Because everyone wants to get off to a fast start, so I think you're going to see some fire sale, whatever stuff in the beginning to kind of prime the pump and get everybody going.
I love that. Get your bonus. Bonus here. Bonus here. 20, 20, 30, 35, 45.
One of the worst things ever created.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Seriously.
Bonus
it's such a handcuff. You'll never be able. And like I try to tell people, I go, when you get in these things, you better make sure some of these things. You better make sure you like them for the rest of your life because you're going to be there.
And if you call me to talk about index annuities, the ones that you purchased, my first question is always, hey, that's fantastic. Can you explain to me how it works? And I just shut up.
And I feel bad because, you think you're doing the right thing. And at least here's your downside. You can't lose your money.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with that. I mean, like I said, we sell them. Most of them that we sell are attached income riders. We use the index annuity as a efficient delivery system for that income guarantee. And then we shop all income riders for the highest contractual guarantee. But I'm still waiting on the simplistic 9-year-old understanding index annuity chassis that I can confidently show to my clients in mass and say, this one you might want to look at. I have yet to do that. I've been doing this a long, long time.
Your day's coming. Your day's coming, I promise.
I know.
But that's where we're at.
And X, you're going to call me one day and say, I've got it. Because you know what I'm looking for. Everybody calls me, hey, will you sell my index annuity? I'm like, explain it to me.
Right.
So the answer is no. But, well, that sounds good. X, I'm going to have to, I know this is crazy, but I'm going to have to close this out. And you're probably sweating profusely underneath that hoodie. That's one of the reasons I've lengthened out this interview. I want you to take that off and be dripping in sweat.
It's freezing where I'm at, so this is great.
Yeah, don't give away your location, but this is a great story, and I'll close with this. When I first approached X, and I said, X, we got to do these podcasts because I really need someone with your level of expertise, which is unmatched, by the way, in the index annuity space. And he agreed, but it's like he's like, man, I can't give away and we do filter his voice and everything. So I found this mask and I sent it to him. He goes, perfect. So that's how it all happened. I mean, plus I love if you ever watched a TV show called Mr. Robot, this is the mask they all wore on Mr. Robot. It's one of my favorite.
Another well thought out plan. There you go.
I love Mr. Robot. If you haven't watched Mr. Robot and you want to binge a series for a weekend and just sit there and eat chips and Cheetos, which is part of my strategy of good, clean living, then do that, because I'm telling you, Mr. Robot is nuts. That's but that's where the mask came from. The anonymous mask, the anonymous X.
I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the people learning, and
yes,
I hope that they take it in. I really enjoy upsetting the agents because that's actually, I'm like you, that's actually part of the fun part.
Yeah, nothing against the agents. They just need
upset, clean up your act. Clean up your act that you want anything to be upset about.
As I say, the annuity industry has earned its bad sales reputation. And that needs to be cleaned up. And it's amazing that the annuity industry, who has a monopoly on lifetime income, does not just promote lifetime income. I don't know why. No, we have to do everything, market here, market there, upside, unicorns, whatever. One of these days it'll flip itself upside down. And I do believe that soon. I think the annuity industry will turn into, with my leadership, X, into an Amazon type format to where you're going to have enough education and product transparency that you can make your own decision and buy on your own terms. That's kind of what we do, but it's going to be on a bigger scale because I got big plans, X, for 2023. I can't explain them other than I'm going to tell the industry, you better get ready. Because what we're getting ready to do in the industry will change the industry forever. And I'm not saying that in a cliched manner. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is, lots of it to prove it and to make this pro-customer and pro-consumer. And X, you're going to be right with me. I'm going to be right in your sports car, baby.
I'm putting my application in today.
Listen, man, you're a consultant. Well, hey, with that being said, thank you so much, everybody listening on all major podcast platforms and watching us too on the Fun with Annuities YouTube channel. I'll see you next time.